Ooh, what's up, everybody, and welcome to the Stand Up Guys Podcast, episode 109. I am your host, the incomparable Zach Jones, joined as always by my brother from the same mother who ain't wearing no pants, Lester Jones.
Hey, that's confidential.
You're making us all uncomfortable here.
Ajay should be the one who's uncomfortable.
That's true. I'm glad there's a space.
There's a barrier.
There's a barrier. Speaking of AJ, we're back to the classic intro. He's also known as the Ninth Wonder, Chocolate Thunder, eating that poon, never stopping too soon, the clit licking, never quitting, having fun, making pussies run, the phenomenal one. AJ, sing.
Thank you for reading my Google review. I appreciate it. Very kind of you.
Now, what's your Yelp review like?
I got review bombed on there.
So later on in the episode, we will be reviewing She-Hulk episode 3, which actually ought to be interesting because we haven't talked about it yet. But he made an offhand remark to me this morning that makes me think we saw differently on this one. So.
Well, not that differently.
Well, we'll see. We'll see.
It still stinks.
What else you guys been watching, fellas? What you been doing this week?
I haven't watched shit.
Way to contribute to the conversation.
I watched a touch of Junior Baking.
You're supposed to be yes-anding this shit.
We were watching it, and so we decided to set the kids loose with a recipe and ingredients and just let them do it. And so Liam did that today. He made chocolate chip cookies he's super proud of. So maybe try one of those tomorrow.
I mean, how much guidance did you give him in these cookies?
I wasn't there. I told her to just give him the recipe and leave him alone. So I don't know.
He burned himself really bad.
Well, she probably had to preheat the oven and stuff, but I don't know. We didn't get a chance to talk about it. I was on the phone with him for a minute, and he was super happy.
You know, you always shit on us for the shows review on here. Be like, oh, you're making me watch She-Hulk, which you might have a point. But
and Hawkeye, and Miss Marvel.
Okay, but what I'm getting at is if we let you pick the show to review, we'd be fucking reviewing Weenie Hut Jr. and these fucking kids cooking shit.
I bet you'd like to review Weenies, Huts and Juniors, Weenie Juniors, Juniors Weenies.
Actually,
because you're a pedophile.
What would you do if me and AJ were like, okay, fine, you pick the show, we're gonna review it. What would you pick?
I'd probably look for right now, I'd probably just because of all the hype and the stink, I'd probably make you watch the first episode of Rings of Power. Because here's the thing: there was so much hatred before it came out, and now I'm like, is it fake? Is it actually good? Is it just like you said, hate bombing or whatever? Or could it potentially be good?
I don't know. I don't like the Lord of the Rings movie, so I don't know how this show would connect to me.
I'll probably watch at least the first one just to see how I'm feeling.
Yeah, the reason I even watched the Lord of the Rings movies in the first place is because they were marketed so much, and it was such a big deal that everybody's watching.
Same. I almost felt the pressure, I had to watch them because they were such a part of the culture, you know.
Yeah. Now I don't really feel like that at all. I don't need to watch anything Lord of the Rings.
His wisdom of not watching the last Matrix movie is shown through.
Yeah, I've heard terrible things about that movie.
You mean the one that just came out? Well, actually, me and him reviewed it. That was one of those shows that you weren't on.
There, maybe?
And so you missed out on that one.
Mm-hmm.
I'll say this. I didn't absolutely hate that movie. I think there are some interesting ideas in it, but ultimately it was disappointing.
Yeah, there was a lot I didn't like. But at the same time, I was like, it was okay.
It sounded like, was it Lana Wachowski? She didn't want to make that movie, really. She was kind of forced to, because they were like, we're going to make this movie with or without you.
I did hear that. I don't know if that's true or not, but I definitely heard that rumor.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there were people who wondered, if she purposely made a giant pile of shit.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I don't know.
But, my thinking is, if I was Warner Brothers and, we were dead set on doing a Matrix reboot, and, like she wasn't interested, I'd be like, okay, fine, we'll just find someone else. I don't know.
Yeah.
If I got the feeling she wasn't enthusiastic and like totally on board, I'd be like, okay, we'll just find someone else.
Sometimes franchises have that movie, and you're just like, everybody just wants to collectively forget it and like see what the future brings.
Well, they kind of did that with like the Halloween movies, because originally like they made like, I don't know, like 4 or 5 of them, I think. But everybody like loved the first Halloween, and like I think most people hated all the rest. So like the Halloween they made in 2018, they were just like pretended like the sequels never existed, and just like, this is a continuation of the first movie. Forget the other ones. But then I think this last Halloween movie they made in that series people didn't like. So it's like, they're just doing the same thing over again, making sequels people hate.
It's the thing is, like, if you have one of those big hits, especially in like the horror genres, like you can pump one out pretty much every Halloween, and it doesn't matter.
Yeah. Man, I don't know if I talked to you about it, but remember, like, this was probably like a month ago by now. You were talking about that Monsters trailer.
Oh, yeah.
Man, I watched that. Holy fuck, is that a terrible trailer? That might be the worst movie trailer I've ever fucking seen. Awful. I can't imagine that movie doesn't just suck shit.
I'm morbidly curious. Tim Burton's got a Wednesday Addams is going to come out on Netflix, I think, towards the end of the year. So I'm kind of curious about that.
Yeah, Burton, I think he's like hit and miss.
Yeah.
He definitely has a style, though. And I think Addams Family would suit him well.
Yeah, he's definitely very stylized always, so I'd definitely check it out.
AJ, you been watching anything this week besides She-Hulk?
Just reviews for terrible movies.
Like She-Hulk.
She-Hulk. This episode wasn't as bad as the first two.
That's exactly what I told him. I was like, it wasn't great, but it wasn't as bad as the first two.
Boy, we'll get into it, but hard disagree on this end. What did I watch this week? Ooh, actually, I watched some good stuff recently. So I finished, I think last week I said I started that show Severance on Apple TV Plus. This week I finished it, season 1. And I got to say, I really like this show. Like, next time you guys get Apple Plus, check this show out.
I've never had Apple Plus.
I heard that guy from Transformers is in it.
Transformers?
The guy who gets peed on by a robot at one point.
There's someone
He's like that.
Oh, is it John Turturro?
Yeah, Turturro, yeah.
Of all the things you could reference for his
That's
career.
all I know him from.
Holy shit. But yeah, he is in it. It's like...
He's really good in it.
He's good, yeah. The main guy is Adam Scott, who is from Parks and Rec.
Yeah.
And then there's...
like the nerdy...
Yeah.
Oh.
Christopher Walken's also in it a little bit.
He's just speaking bad English in the whole...
And I noticed he's not in it, but several of the episodes were directed by Ben Stiller. And I think I don't know if he does writing on it as well, but man, it's a really good show. And then I didn't... this wasn't this week, it was the week before, but I don't think I mentioned it. I finished also Only Murders in the Building Season 2. I will say I don't think the central mystery of Season 2 was as well crafted as Season 1, but I still like the show. I would still definitely recommend the show. And then after I finished Severance on Apple, I decided to try Foundation, which is that show based on the Isaac Asimov book.
Right.
I'm only about 4 episodes in, and I will say, like, I'm liking it, but, like, it's really dense with the world building.
Yeah, super heavy sci-fi.
There's a shit ton of characters. There's, places, and multiple time periods as well that they kind of go in and out of.
I know I read the first Foundation book, and I don't really remember very much.
Well, the thing that's kind of hard to like keep track of is like, so there's like this monarchy, kind of like the evil empire of this universe, and like it's always controlled by like these 3 kings, which are genetic copies of like this original guy. So it's like the same genetic guy at old age, middle age, and as a child or young, and like they call him like the Brother Dawn, Brother Day, Brother Dusk, or whatever. But then like they'd move forward a period, so like then you got to remember, okay, so the guy that was Brother Day in this time period is now Brother Dusk in this time period, and that gets a little like you know a little trippy to like you know keep track of, I guess. But like I don't want to scare anyone off. I am liking the show. It's just there is a lot to keep track of. It's definitely not one of those shows you can just kind of watch in the background. You know, you got to pay attention to it. Let's see. Oh, I also finally watched another old school James Bond movie with Sean Connery. This time, Goldfinger, which is a terrible fucking song, by the way. It was okay. Like, I will say though, you know how like famously like all the Bond chicks have like ridiculous names. I think Pussy Galore might be the laziest James Bond girl name.
Bad just splashing.
I mean, because it's not even really like it is a pun, but like, has any woman ever been named Pussy ever in any time period ever?
It was all good. It was all good until vagina showed up on the scene. I ruined it.
And I didn't know this because I never watched it. Pussy Galore owns a flying circus. Pussy Galore's flying circus is in the movie. So, there you go.
There
A
we
rousing
have-
endorsement.
Now you know the rest of the story.
Do you guys want to talk about anything else before we get into it? Oh, you said you had a like wrestling
Yeah,
story.
I want to talk about because Saudi Arabia is coming, or like UAE and all those countries are coming up because of like golf tournaments that are like being held there, and they're getting a lot of like.
Oh yeah, I heard about this. Like Saudi Arabia, like starting their own like golf league or something.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
paying like ridiculous amounts for like professionals to
Yeah,
play.
it's pissing off like the U.S. at least like the PGA because like they're losing talent to these tournaments, and I was wondering like what the sentiment is with like wrestling because I know like they're having events and stuff over there being held with regards to wrestling, and they're trying to make like their own like culture of wrestling over there.
Yeah, it's kind of been like a hot topic thing in wrestling for the last couple of years because they like did this deal with Saudi Arabia where they do like I think they've been COVID kind of put a crinkle in doing those shows, but I think they were doing like 2 shows a year, and like apparently like they're paying top dollar for these shows, like a lot of money. I guess I don't know. My feeling is kind of mixed because like on the one hand, like, yeah, we're going to find their politics, like, disgusting, of course. But, like, number one, like, I don't really blame the guys that can get, that kind of payday to go over there and do it. And, like, wrestling is one of those things that can bring people together, as cheesy as that sounds. But then, on the other hand, like they have done like some shitty stuff. Like there's this one wrestler who really looks white, but he's of Syrian descent. So like they wouldn't let him wrestle on the show. And like I think the first couple shows they did, like they wouldn't allow women on. And then they eventually did let some women wrestle on, but they had to like dress in like full like clothing. Not like a fucking burqa or anything, but like, they had to cover
Head to toe latex.
Just sweating in the Middle East too. Going outside just slick.
So yeah, I don't know like how we should feel about it. Like should we chastise all these companies for taking the money, or in the case of wrestling, should we be like, well, I mean, it is this like commonality thing, like our cultures can share. I don't know.
Of all the things that they could like culturally appropriate, like this is like rings a bell with us.
But honestly, like we share our movies with all these other people, and yeah, they edit the shit out of them. you know, all the every little gay scene or whatever. Like they gotta take that out. And like they usually even like edit, like China edited like the Star Wars poster to take the black guy out or minimize him or whatever. So
It'd be funny if he had that whole movie and he was just missing. Was that Finn?
People like talking to air. Like, all right, you go that way. I'll go this way.
they like
She had schizophrenia all along.
they like really poorly like CG like a Asian guy. Man, but you know, Saudi Arabia, like also like the and China, the video game industry as well. Like they're buying up big chunks of you know, certain conglomerates that like, you know, own video game shit and like buying certain video game developers. There's a Chinese company called Tencent that just keeps like buying and more video game companies and stuff like that. And it's like, it is concerning, and it's like, but I kind of feel like, you know, you can't really be a completely like, you know, quote unquote moral purchaser.
Yeah.
Well, okay. Here's the thing about China for me is like they're obviously copying technology and producing technology, but when's the last time you saw like anything come out of China where you were like, you know, oh, I want to consume this? Because you know they don't have like freedom of speech. It's like they don't produce any content I'm interested in.
It is crazy, like, because like sometimes they'll do like the top 10, you know, money earners worldwide movies, and like there'll be one you never heard of, and it's because it's like a Chinese movie,
Yeah.
and like they loved it or whatever. But I think like a couple years ago there was one called like Wolf Cop or something, or it was something weird, and it did like huge numbers in China.
Maybe. I mean, I don't know. It's just kind of an offhand comment, but I've definitely watched like, you know, Japanese stuff, South Korean stuff.
Yeah, South
A
Korean.
little bit Indian stuff. It's like, but I can't think of any like
I think
Chinese stuff I've watched.
Yeah, I don't even know if Netflix. I mean, I guess I wouldn't immediately like it. Know that it's a Chinese property if they put it on there, but I don't know if they do that or not.
Yeah.
I mean, I think to Lester's point, like the whole freedom of speech thing is an issue for them because like a lot of movies that are successful there are like from outside of the country. Like American movies do well there, Indian movies do well there, like other movies do well there, but Chinese movies don't have that like same emotional connection from the audience.
It's weird too that some movies that we kind of think we made that are like we're like, oh, they're shit. They do like will do really well. They're like the Airbender movie.
Transformers.
Oh,
It's not, yeah.
yeah, that's true. I think the Transformers movies have done better, like in other countries. Like, I mean, they do well here, but I think the reason they make so much money is because worldwide, you know, they do even better.
Yeah.
I think culturally, Japan really loves kaiju movies and robot movies.
Yeah. Pacific Rim falls right in line with that.
Pacific Rim was kind of weird because I watched it and I was like, that's all right. It's interesting.
Yeah, it's not great. And it's a Del Toro movie, too.
Yeah, that's probably why I watched it.
That's
in the
why
first
I
place.
watched it.
Yeah.
And the plot seems interesting. It was the way it was done was not the best, but it's a good plot. Have giant monsters fighting giant robots. Man, I'll watch that.
Yeah, it's a good concept, but
Well, weren't they all like in camps? They were like space Mexicans or something. I don't know.
space.
I don't know what the hell I'm talking about.
I don't. I think
I don't remember.
you watched a completely different movie.
Oh no, I am thinking of something different. Oh, what was it called again?
This was Pacific Rim. You were
Oh,
thinking
yeah.
of Pacific Rim Job.
No, I was thinking of, is it like District 9 or something?
Oh yeah, that's a great movie, by the way. But that's South African.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but they did have like
I should watch that again.
segregated.
I remember only
ghettos.
thinking it was okay. I don't even know if I watched Pacific Rim. That's one of those movies that I was like,
You don't have to.
yeah, I don't know if I did watch it. If I did, it was obviously forgettable.
It is a Del Toro movie. Man, the thing that like sticks in my mind about that movie was I actually watched it in the theater, and it was probably the worst experience I had in a theater with people talking. Well, specifically one woman that sat right behind me and talked for the full fucking movie. I was like, God, I hate this bitch. Yeah. Time wise, we should probably get into the show. We'll do one round of stories and then get into She-Hulk. Sound good, guys?
Yeah.
All right. So anyone who hasn't watched, we'll go around the table. Everyone will bring a topic of conversation, and we'll see if we can't make something funny and or entertaining out of it. And as tradition dictates, we usually start with AJ. So AJ, what do you got for us?
All right, this is going to be pertinent to the She-Hulk conversation we have coming up. VFX artists are speaking out against Marvel, with many refusing to ever work with the entertainment giant again. This comes as artists share accounts of unworkable deadlines and immense pressure, leading to stress and unsatisfactory final products. Many have requested to never be put on a Marvel project again, saying that the studio has the worst VFX management out there. These allegations have been made on the subreddit rVFX, with artists across the industry sharing their negative experiences with the company. Almost no one in the subreddit has a good word to say about the employer, with many saying that the money and the star power aren't worth tolerating such poor working conditions. In a thread titled, "I am quite frankly sick and tired of working on Marvel shows," Reddit user Independent AD419 expressed their frustration with the studio. "Marvel has probably the worst methodology of production and VFX management out there," they write. "They can never fix the look for the show before more than half the allocated time for the show is over. The artists working on Marvel shows are definitely not paid equivalent to the amount of work they put in." Others in the replies are quick to agree. On Thor, they asked for a complete mini-sequence 2 or 3 weeks before deadline, says Sam VFX 2015. Mickey Moo Moo's account is much the same. "I request not to work on Marvel movies and TV shows. Unfortunately, they're becoming our biggest client. They expect a smorgasbord of options so they can change their mind 3 or more times. Those who have been able to avoid working with Marvel confirm that it hasn't improved in recent years. I'm on almost 3 years straight of Marvel. Welcome to the 7th level of hell." Oh, those who haven't been able to avoid working. That's what I was wondering. Okay. Another user shares that their time at Marvel has been a black hole of sleep deprivation and eating bad. Another thread from 3 months ago contains even more damning accounts of what it's like to work with Marvel. These allegations were shared with another VFX artist when another VFX artist was disappointed to lose out on the opportunity to work with Marvel, something their industry peers reassured him was no great loss. "I am on my 3rd Marvel project in a row and literally just woke up at 5:30 a.m. on a Saturday with stress going. I don't want to do this anymore," writes RANDVR. "It's 6 a.m. now and I'm making a reel to apply someplace that has projects other than Marvel because I just can't do this anymore." Mickey Moo Moo shared a particularly shocking account of their time working with the studio. "Marvel has seen grown men punch walls, throw monitors from stress. I broke down a couple of times and have seen the strain it can put on marriages. But hey, the money was fantastic. Fuck Marvel as a client. The credit is not fucking worth it." Raced Linuk agrees. "It took me over 6 months to recover from WandaVision's crunch. It's not worth it. Not when there's better projects that look just as good out there. Given how recent some of the projects are, it's unlikely that there will be a dramatic change in the past few months. It remains to be seen if Marvel addresses these criticisms as they become widely shared online." I think we can say that they were not addressed.
I mean, it's only going to get worse with all the streaming platforms and the fact that they're doing, TV as well as movies now.
Yeah.
And I can only imagine, I've been wondering because it seems like in the last couple of years, there's been a ton of movies, big budget movies. DC might be something else. But, you just keep seeing these big movies get delayed. And a part of me is wondering, is it maybe they just can't get the effects done on time because there's only so many of these people that work in this industry. And, the demand is just going up all the time with all these big budget shows on streaming platforms and the movies. And I can't imagine them getting it all done. And it doesn't surprise me that they have these crunching working conditions.
I'm surprised, like with all the improvement we've made with VFX, that I mean, there's tools and software that make it much easier to like render these images. I'm surprised there aren't more artists out there, like, and the field isn't exponentially growing, and we aren't able to meet this demand because like the tools are there.
Yeah, I always wonder when they make new tools like that, is it like making it easier, or do they just go, oh, well, now we can do so much more, and it just makes the projects more detailed and harder. I don't know. It's I always wonder about that with video games too, because like, I saw this thing where like the new engine they made when this new generation of consoles rolled around, they're like you can make a hotel and then the program will just automatically populate the rooms with like furniture and make them all look unique if you or whatever. And I'm like, well, that's cool, I guess, but then like, does it make people who make video games just be like, oh, so we could do even more and more and more. We could build a whole city where, I don't know. Maybe one feeds into the other or something. But man, yeah, I just can't imagine. Like you were talking about Rings of Power and like, which is like the most expensive show like ever made. I think comes out to like 80 million an episode or something.
The episode costs are huge. Yeah.
It's crazy, and like I can only imagine like the effects going into something like that. And it's just so many Marvel shows, superhero shows, big budget like Transformer-y type movies, and like I'm like, those VFX guys, man, they have to be working nonstop. But it seems like this article, do you think it singled out Marvel because they really are the worst offenders, or just because it's like the article maker knew that's what get the clicks because Marvel's so huge?
I mean, they're obviously probably pulling in a fair chunk of the market. So.
Yeah.
And if people just don't like working with them.
Plus, we got those Star Wars shows too.
Oh, there's so much stuff out there.
Oh, yeah, so much.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like everybody in the industry, at some point, they've touched Marvel project by now. So, I mean, they've all had some sort of interaction and understood.
They used up everybody good, and then they had to put some B class on Miss Marvel.
Marvel's like the Amazon.
Ms. Marvel had some bad shit in it.
I think that's the worst one so far.
Really? Worse than She-Hulk so far? Because She-Hulk kind of threw me out of it a little bit here and there.
Miss Marvel, I was definitely like, damn, a couple times.
The funniest one I thought was that one where like her and that guy were on the motorcycle or whatever, and it crashed, and she made like a platform to like save him that was like right alongside the pavement. He was like, this did not help them at all.
A 2 millimeter cushion.
Yeah, that was like, yes, right on the street. I'm like, you could have, it was the same as landing on the street. I don't know. It's not like these platforms are cushions, I don't think.
There was the one where like the mother-in-law or whatever, the evil lady, where she like touched the other dimension and like she turned into a skeleton. I remember that one.
Or the one where he like threw the canister in like the boiling pot.
That was another bad one.
And it like lightly scolded them badly. It's like, yeah.
It bought him a whole 0.2 seconds.
Terrible. Let's see. You guys have any other thoughts on that before we move on?
I'll hit it up later, but there's one in She-Hulk that was kind of memorable, I guess.
All right, so we'll do Manifesto, round one.
All right. This is a short one. Jealous wife stabs her husband multiple times after finding a picture of him having sex with another woman. Now, it turns out that the other woman was her before she got fat.
I knew it. I knew it.
And guess where she's from? Of course, she's Mexican.
Oh, the transformation.
Yeah.
Kafkaesque. After marriage.
But yeah, they think he'll survive, and she's awaiting trial.
Oh my god.
She didn't recognize her younger self.
I guess maybe it didn't show her face. I don't know.
You think you'd remember your own like image, like your own self?
Yeah. Well, you don't see your own back very often.
And plus, she must have just started stabbing him, not be like, "Who is this?"
Yeah, there was no discussion. It's like, I'm going to go in with the stabbing.
A skinny bitch? Stab, stab.
And then when she figures it out, she's like, "That's my bad. That's on me."
I'm not too big for this. I'll take the blame.
This is your fault.
God. There's some real... I mean, we shouldn't be shocked whenever we hear stories like this because, like, so much crazy shit happens, but you're still like, how do these people exist?
Makes you wonder, like, how we even got out of the ocean in the first place.
We were smarter back then. Any more on that one?
No.
So I just got another quick thing of some more etymology for you guys.
Ooh, etymology. My favorite.
See if you guys can guess where these phrases came from.
Your mom.
Bite the bullet.
I feel like that was a way of checking on bullets to make sure they worked.
I just assumed, like, that's what happens when you shoot someone in the face.
So the meaning, decide to do something difficult or unpleasant that one has been putting off or hesitating over. The origin, during battles, there was no time to administer anesthesia while performing surgeries. Because of that, patients were made to bite down on bullets to distract themselves from the pain. Wouldn't you rather, like, bite down maybe on, like, a soft, like, tree branch or something?
Yeah, like
Piece of
some
wood,
wood,
yeah.
yeah. Man, people are stupid. That's why they had so many, like, fake teeth back then, too.
Been biting bullets. Next one. One for the road. One for the road.
I feel like that's always meant the same thing. Like, just having something extra on you to go.
You're like, I gotta walk home. I want to take a beer with me.
Yeah.
Meaning a final drink before leaving a place. Origin, during the Middle Ages, the condemned ones were taken through what today is known as Oxford Street to their execution. During the final trip, the cart would stop and they would be allowed to have one final drink before their death.
And I'll take 1/5 of whiskey, please.
Probably took them like 2 hours to drink it.
I'm savoring it.
You've been nursing that thing for hours.
Everybody's asleep.
You know what? Fuck it. We're not even doing the execution anymore. You ruined it. You ruined the moment. Next, honeymoon. Why is it called honeymoon? It's about eating.
Traditionally eat honey off of someone's ass.
I was going to say it's about eating honey out of someone's ass.
I'm going to go with people probably married like in the summertime or something. It has something to do with the moon around that time period when they were like hooking up. I don't know.
All right. A meaning, a holiday spent together by newly married couple. Origin, according to tradition, a newlywed couple would have to drink a beverage with honey for an entire month for fertility and good luck.
That sounds like some greedy person just made that up. Oh, I need honey to get pregnant.
It's invented by the honey manufacturers. Big honey.
I'm too drunk to fuck.
Doesn't like traditional mead have honey in it?
Mead is made out of honey, yeah.
Next, white elephant. They should have pink elephant.
I've heard in context of like the gift thing.
Yeah, that's what I noted as too. Well, apparently the meaning, it says a possession that is useless or troublesome, especially one that is expensive to maintain or difficult to dispose of.
Oh.
So I guess the white elephant is like the shitty gift.
Someone was gifted a white elephant. It's like, how am I going to feed this motherfucker?
Yeah, he shits everywhere. Goddamn.
Any guesses on the origin?
India.
Maybe
I would think a Scythian king, like some Dacian or Scythian people. Probably.
I was like, someone was saddled with an elephant, and they're like, I don't know what to do with this fucking thing. Origin: white elephants were considered to be sacred creatures in Thailand, yet they were also very hard to take care of. It is believed that Siamese kinds, now Thailand, would gift white elephants as a subtle form of punishment, since taking care of the animal would drive the recipient into financial ruin. That is pretty fucked up.
Yeah.
Here's a sacred gift. It's going to put you in the poorhouse.
Yeah. You're just like, he died.
Financial ruin. I'm eating better than I ever had. Next, break a leg. Break a leg.
That's the old acting one.
Right.
Which somehow means good luck. I guess if you're screaming and agony from your broken leg, they're like, wow, this guy can act. He's good.
Maybe like a chair leg, like if people are like leaning back and enjoying, they fall. Or, I don't know.
Maybe it's from John Wilkes Booth breaking his leg when he like jumped off the balcony. He was an actor.
Encouraging people to kill the president, basically. Assassination.
The meaning is good luck. The origin, it is believed that the phrase dates to World War I Germany and a saying used by German actors, Hals und Beinbruch, which translates to a broken neck and a broken leg. Besides that, it still doesn't make sense why you would wish someone to break a leg. Well, as it turns out, popular folklore down through the ages encouraged people to wish others bad luck, since it was believed that wishing someone good luck would tempt evil spirits. So you guessed it, people started wishing each other to break a leg in order for them to not to break one. Okay. Next, give the cold shoulder.
I'm guessing has something to do with mother-in-laws.
I just think like when you turn around, there's a little breeze of wind.
That's the warm cheek.
So the meaning, reject or be deliberately unfriendly to. Origin, this saying that is currently considered to describe someone rude was actually considered an act of politeness. During medieval times in England, after everyone was done feasting, the host would give his guest a cold piece of meat from the shoulder of beef or pork as a way of showing that it was time for everyone to leave.
Cold shoulder.
This next one, I haven't read it yet, but I'm like, couldn't it only be the obvious thing? Riding shotgun.
Yeah, it sounds like somebody in the passenger seat who's got a shotgun.
Right. It sounds like if you're driving, you put your shotgun in the...
Probably back in those like, what are the guys who ride on like the coaches? Highwaymen.
Oh, the highwayman. Meaning, used to claim the right to sit in the front passenger seat of a vehicle on a particular journey. Origin, the expression refers to the passenger of an old-fashioned stagecoach who sat next to the driver with a shotgun to protect from attackers and robbers along the way. There is no evidence to suggest the expression was actually used in times of the Wild West, but most likely came about much later on when media and films began to romanticize the period. So yeah, pretty close. Next, crocodile tears.
I know that's like fake tears.
Right.
Do crocodiles cry when they're eating? I think I heard that.
It's so good.
Yeah. Sorry, buddy.
This is going to make me so fat. Meaning, tears or expressions of sorrow that are insincere. Origin, written in the 14th century, a book called The Travels of Sir John Mandeville recounts a knight's adventures through Asia. In the book, it says that crocodiles shed tears while eating a man they captured. Even though it is factually inaccurate, the phrase crocodile tears found its way into Shakespeare's work and became an idiom in the 16th century, symbolizing insincere grief. So old Billy Shakespeare is to blame.
Billiam, as they call him.
Next, kick the bucket.
I know it means to die or give
Right.
up, but
There was an old man nicknamed the Bucket, and the horse kicked him to death.
the only bucket I can think of is like the bucket they used to shit in back in the day.
The old final bucket.
They kick it into your coffin.
I'd give up if somebody kicked one of those over.
So yeah, the meaning, to die. The origin, When killing a cow at slaughterhouses, people would place a bucket under the animal while it was positioned on a pulley. While trying to adjust the animal, the cow would kick out its legs and therefore kick the bucket before being killed. Huh. Would not have guessed that one. Next, show your true colors. Show your true colors.
Who's hiding their colors? Pirates.
Oh, that's a good guess.
False flag.
You got a guess?
I'll go with that.
Well, there's a picture of a pirate ship here. So.
Ooh.
Meaning, reveal one's real character or intentions, especially when these are disreputable or dishonorable. Origin, to confuse their enemies, warships would use multiple flags. However, warfare rules dictated that the ships must show its actual flag before firing, and hence the ships would then display its true colors. I like those rules. They're just like, oh, people will abide by these.
Yeah.
How dare you fire upon us without showing your true colors?
It's like you turn your rainbow petticoat inside out.
Isn't that kind of the reason like we beat the redcoats is because they were like, oh, to do war you you go to the battlefield and
take turns.
You take turns and all this, and then we were just like hiding in the trees and shooting them.
Right. You just pop out and shoot one and like run away.
This is not fair.
This is madness.
What kind of uncivilized war is this?
The old guerrilla warfare.
You ruffians. And I think this is the last one. Close but no cigar. Close but no cigar.
Just sounds like somebody going for a cigar. I don't know.
Is this some like old like one of those like barroom games where you have to like try to win a cigar?
My guess is like
Or maybe it's like a circus prize.
my guess is like somebody got like a cigarello or something, and they're like, it's close, but it's no cigar. I don't know.
Maybe Bill Clinton in Monaco.
That would be funny. Origin 1998 or whatever. Meaning almost but not quite successful. Origin. In the late 19th century, carnival games were targeted to adults and not children. So the winners would get a cigar as a prize instead of stuffed animals.
And then you see like this kid smoking a fucking cigar.
Probably. If the person was close to winning but did not succeed, they said it was close but no cigar.
Sounds awful.
Have you guys ever smoked a cigar?
Yeah, it's not fun.
I've had a puff, but I was drunk, so.
Some people like really like it. Like they'll go to the cigar bars and they'll just like...
Rich people, man, like, there are a lot of athletes who, like, they make a big deal to smoke cigars and stuff. Like, they're aficionados or whatever. But I never got it. I don't know why people would be into cigars. It just makes you feel like a lot of tar and, just, it doesn't feel good.
I don't know if he's...
Now watch me light up this spliff.
I don't know if he still is, but I think Arnold Schwarzenegger used to be big into cigars.
Yeah, I think he smokes cigars.
Bill Burr, the comedian, I think is really big into cigars. So there's like people... I think there is even like a cigar aficionado magazine, or there used to be.
There used to be. Yeah. I think it's just an image. I think that's the only reason people smoke cigars. It can't be like a real like, oh, this feels good or tastes good thing to it. No, I think it's just to look cool.
Who was that guy who played Winston Churchill? Gary Oldman.
Gary Oldman.
Yeah, like he said he got nicotine poisoning from smoking so many cigars on set.
Method acting. Nothing but fucking scotch and cigars.
They'll watch me blow chunks all over the place.
He could feel his life draining from his body.
All right, She-Hulk it.
I was just thinking, like, if Jared Leto like played a gay guy, would he be like, "Oh, I'm method acting like it's son of a bitch"?
He did play a gay person, didn't he?
Oh, I think he might have.
In Monsters Ball or whatever. Or was not Monsters Ball.
Dallas Buyers Club.
Was that it? Yeah, I think you're right. Yeah, he was in Dallas Buyers Club.
I never seen that movie, but I think he was maybe in it.
Yeah, I think he was. And there's some other movie too where he plays like a very flamboyant, like colorful gay person. I don't know what it was called. I'll come back to it later. I'm not sure.
I watch nothing but gay Jared Leto movies.
I've been doing my research, guys.
All right, guys. Well, I guess we're obligated to do it. Are you guys ready to review She-Hulk episode 3?
She-Hulk, bum bum bum.
So this episode is called The People versus Emile Blonsky, which is all about She-Hulk defending the Abomination. I don't know if I can defend this abomination of an
I knew
episode.
that was coming.
Did it. Fucking burned them.
Got him.
Got him. Man, yeah, you told me this morning, and you just said it earlier in the show, you're like, well, this was better than episode 1 and 2. I'm like, we'll get to it, but like, I was like, I don't fucking see it. Whew. I thought this was pretty bad. Okay, we start off, because the episode 2 ended with the news discovering that footage from Shang-Chi, basically, of Abomination fighting in the Fight Club or whatever. He was out of prison. Oh, by the way, I think last episode I like, it'd been so long since I saw Abomination. I thought he was more of like a white color, but no, he is like a green color. Yeah, I was wrong about that.
Greenish.
So yeah, Jennifer tells Emile that he destroyed his chances of parole. But he said that Wong actually forced him to leave the prison and that he returned of his own free will. Next, there's kind of this news montage where they talk about She-Hulk.
Oh, yeah.
And they kind of take shots at like men.
Men.
Like you on the last episode.
The silent villain.
They're going to play clips of us. No, we weren't that bad. But I don't know. It's another one of these things where it's like ever present, it seems like. And maybe it's fair commentary, but again, I don't know. I felt it was kind of ham-fisted. But it was so quick. I guess it doesn't really matter, but it was still there.
It was kind of like a little machine gun of different little,
like YouTube,
like tweets and random
that
shit.
too.
Yeah.
And like YouTube comments, things like that. Like, wasn't one guy like, I'm okay with a woman superhero, but why does she have to be a Hulk? Could she be something else? And I think that's like, something people said about Jane Foster being called Thor. And,
I love titties of every color. It's like, we get it. Yeah. Yeah, me too. Same, bro.
So next I wrote, asshole lawyer Dennis from episode 1 is filing a suit against his ex-girlfriend using Jen's law firm.
Okay, so
I hated this whole fucking plot.
Well, the thing is, it doesn't contribute to her story. It's a weird side story. Now, was that the guy? Was the defendant? Did they date or something?
No, they worked together for a long time.
It was just working together.
They worked together
because they acted like an ex-couple or something.
No, he was just a coworker that she hated because he was dumb and he would always like talk about his love life, and he was just this annoying turd of a guy.
Okay, and like his lawyer is that guy named Pug.
Yeah.
Okay.
Which it stands for like Puglioso or
Puglio. Yeah,
something.
You might want to stick with your Puglioso
rather than Pug. I hated this whole plot, but also like in one episode, he files the suit, has a preliminary hearing, and finishes the case.
Yeah.
Like, what kind of, like, it's so ridiculous. Like, this is not how the justice system works, by the way, folks.
It's a weird side story. Yeah.
It was just nonsense.
But it was long.
So basically, the basis of the thing is he had a girlfriend who turned out to be a shape-shifting light elf from New Asgard. And since it involves like a superpowered person, that's why he's using their law firm. And they had this whole thing where she was pretending to be Megan Thee Stallion, which they'll go back to a million times in this fucking episode. I mean, she better stay famous because otherwise this episode is going to be out of date real fucking fast. And he was stupid enough to believe it, and basically he bought her all this extravagant stuff. She, and got him to pay, $175,000. We later find out in gifts to this lady before he figured it out that it wasn't her.
This guy's got some money if he's just dropping this.
Right, he's like
now,
this
the thing
high-priced
is,
lawyer.
basically he got to bang Megan Thee Stallion apparently because this is what a woman is posing as. Like, didn't he get his money's worth?
I mean, that's a problem with these PG shows is you don't get that side of the story. Maybe she never gave it up.
Yeah, she could make a good living off of pretending to be people.
Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah, that's very true.
But then again, if you were a shapeshifter, like you could just become a model and you wouldn't even have to fuck people.
That's the thing. He didn't even have to dump her. Like, he could have been like, oh, okay.
Pretend to be my
Yeah.
Megan Thee Stallion girlfriend or whatever.
Can you do Selma Hayek?
That's true. If you had a shapeshifter girlfriend, you could just be like, oh, a different chick every
Yeah.
night.
Yep.
But then she'd like turn into her old self and be like, don't you love me the way I look now?
No, bitch.
This is my true self. Like, yeah. God, no.
Where's J-Lo?
Come on. Or she shifts back like in the middle. Like, oh, no.
I
No.
want you to see me for who I am. No, God, no.
Every goddamn time. Or she turns into a man.
So while they're in that meeting, Wong shows up in one of his sling ring portals, and they go into her office and talk. And Wong basically backs up Emile's story, says he's telling the truth, and that he needed a worthy opponent in his training as the Sorcerer Supreme.
Now, is this the truth?
I mean,
It sounds weird.
it does, and
But like,
also
they haven't like shown any other reason you might have been there.
But then, I mean, I only saw Shang-Chi the one time, but weren't they basically working the crowd? Like, they were basically, it seemed like they were pretending to fight, but really, like, once they got backstage, they were like...
Well, I think he did knock him out and like packed him away with that like trick where he did the portal and the guy punched himself in the head or whatever.
Oh, okay.
So, but yeah, it did seem like they had a certain camaraderie. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
They also, Wong here kind of references Spider-Man No Way Home, where he's talking about, oh, you can't erase people's memories. That gets real messy or whatever. It was just kind of a way to shoehorn that reference in. So now there's a scene, back to this, between Dennis and Pug. And this is where Pug, says he spent $175K on the Megan Thee Stallion impersonator. So then, like Pug shakes his hand and he's like, okay, I'll get to work on this. He leaves. And then Dennis comes right back in and he's like, actually, you know what? I'm going to drop the case. And then we find out that that's the shapeshifter elf woman who, I mean,
Waiting.
was just like, waiting to come right in. Next, the parole hearing starts. Wong is late to give us some tension. So Emile starts talking. He says he's a changed man, and he's supported by his 8 soulmates, who they allowed to also watch this proceeding. What do you guys think of these hippie ladies?
I was like, it's kind of like a weird side note, but like, I could see that happening in real life.
I actually didn't mind the humor in this episode. I liked Wong being silly, and I liked this whole 8 wives thing, and Blonsky just being kind of aloof.
I didn't think any of it. I mean, I don't think any of it in this show so far has been like gut busting funny.
No, not gut busting.
I mean,
I was a little bit amused at the end of Wong's second appearance,
yeah.
which is coming up, I guess.
So yeah, Emile says he's a changed man. He's supported by his 8 soulmate girlfriends. And then they have this montage where people that work in the prison are defending Emile. I think like the prison counselor says he's like helps meditation with the people, and like there was a guard that had a breakup with his wife or girlfriend or something, and it was nothing.
They're not making toilet wine anymore. They're making toilet kombucha.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
that line so hilarious, so
good.
funny.
He really changed that guy's life.
So finally, Wong shows up in the courtroom. And then they have this. God, I hated this. So now we go. There's this other interstitial where we're seeing Pug.
Oh.
God damn it, Pug
He's
in
in his underwear. It's going to get really up our noses.
we got this another interstitial where Pug is in courtroom with Dennis and the elf lady, and it doesn't go the elf lady's way. So then she turns into the judge and says she's going to drop the case. But I mean, it was horrible, right? That scene,
Yeah.
terrible. I hated that whole subplot. Really, it was just awful.
But I mean, I feel like they've got to bring it back, right? Like,
Well, I didn't understand
God, I
using
hope
that
not.
B story at all because it didn't really tie to her at all. It was just like,
Well, I mean, they eventually use her later on, but yeah, it just
for
felt like
20
filler.
Yeah.
I feel
it
like
was
they're gonna
filler.
need
A
her.
short episode with filler.
I feel like they're gonna need her later on. They're gonna go to that light elf for some sort of help. And we need you to turn into something.
I could see that.
Yeah.
What,
Yeah,
what
that's
happened
like
to the woman in the first one, Titania?
I have a theory about that ties into the end of this
Okay.
show. So yeah, now we go back to the parole hearing, and basically Wong tells his story again that yeah, he busted Emile out of prison, but he went back with his own free will. But the board says, okay, so Emile, you might be okay, but what about the abomination? So Emile changes into the abomination to prove that he's in control. This kind of freaks everybody out, but you know, I guess it ends up kind of helping his case or whatever. So they grant Emile's parole, but he has to wear an inhibitor device so that he can't change into abomination.
Now, how are they going to manage that? Because Bruce is freaking off across the galaxy somewhere.
What does that matter?
Wasn't that his technology?
I don't know. I mean, this is like a thing in like a lot of superhero comics is they find these inhibitor bands, you know.
So basically, he has to wear a bracelet.
Yeah. And who knows, yeah, if this is Bruce's technology or something else. They don't really go into it. I didn't write it down, but I think you were referencing like the board tells Wong, like, you know, technically you broke out a criminal out of prison,
Yeah, and
which
he's
makes
like,
you a criminal.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Jumps through the portal.
He's like, well, I have to go. Yeah. So I guess that was like somewhat, that was probably the most humorous
that was
part
probably
of the
show.
So now this was fucking stupid too. So I think there's a scene in the bar where like Jen, Pug, and her friend are talking. And so Pug's like, oh, this gives me an idea. So he basically has Jen testify in the Dennis's trial, basically character witness that he's a fucking idiot. Like she's known him for a long time and he's a fucking idiot. And the
He's
judge
like,
is
yeah.
the judge
You
is
got
like
it.
this,
He is an idiot.
yeah, and the judge is like, this checks out, you win. I mean, I feel like that whole subplot was written for like 10-year-olds.
Also, that doesn't have any conflicts of interest.
Exactly. I'm like, there's so much wrong with this. Like the fact that he goes from like hiring a lawyer to winning the case in a single day, basically, to like conflict of interest, and like it was so stupid. But then again, didn't the showrunners say they didn't know how to write about court scenes?
Yeah.
they're
They went
proving
for it
that
anyway.
Okay. So now, She-Hulk is like going home. She's attacked by a bunch of I wrote toxic males with weird light up weapons.
Yeah.
Oh, right.
These guys, God, I didn't understand this at all. But yeah, these guys are very like stereotypical like male like seeming like woman hater like guys.
They seem like incel types.
Yeah. And they like have these weird weapons. Like I want to say like one looks like a crowbar, one's like a mace and other things, but they're all like weirdly lit up. And like I think she mentions like, are those Asgardian or something? And they say yes.
Well, what'd you do?
Rob an Asgardian construction worker.
Right, yeah.
And they're like, yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, she easily defeats them. And at one point, like, one of them, like, went to stab her with a needle, but it just, like, bent or whatever.
Yeah, like he's trying to get her blood.
Yeah. So now there's a scene where the guys are back in their van and they're talking about like, did you get the blood sample? And he's like, no, once you turn into She-Hulk, it just like screwed it up. And the guy's like, the boss isn't going to like that. So I kind of have a feeling that Titania is their boss. And she's trying to get the Hulk powers. That's just a guess. But what do you guys think? Guess of who the boss is?
It would have been a better storyline if they had gotten the blood.
They probably will eventually.
But also they're attacking him for like the first half of that scene. She like doesn't transform, and then she's like, "Oh yeah, I can transform."
Yeah.
I think it's maybe more like an underworld boss or something. It could be like I don't know, maybe Fisk or somebody who's like.
I mean, we know Daredevil's going to make an appearance in the show. Which poor Daredevil, they're going to fucking take him through the mud, and make a joke out of him.
Yeah, trying to think of how that would go.
Oh, and did you guys watch the after credit scene?
Yeah.
Where she fucking twerks with Megan Thee Stallion, her new client?
I had to watch. I saw people make
They had to hire an extra CGI guy to make her ass bigger.
That was so cringy to me.
Yeah, that was cringy.
I mean, you guys like this better than the first two? I thought this was fucking terrible.
I don't count the post-credit scene as
well,
part
I mean
of
the
it.
whole show. The whole episode.
I haven't liked any of them. So.
I don't know. It just is the flow of it. Everything. It just seemed better to me than the first two episodes. The first two episodes were like slow and a standstill, and I was just waiting for it to get off the ground. And this one at least seemed like it was starting to go in a direction. Like
a bad direction. I don't know, man. This episode did not work for me.
That last scene too is just like just slopped in there.
Yeah, that
like what the fuck.
That post-credit scene was very.
Oh yeah, that
unfortunate.
was just. I was also confused for a minute. I was like, "Is this like the Asgardian or is this Megan Thee Stallion?"
By the way, like I'm so out of touch. Like I've heard the name Megan Thee Stallion. I think maybe she's like one of the people in the Wet Ass Pussy video, but I don't really know her other than her name.
I think Wet Ass Pussy is.
Well, I think Wet Ass Pussy is like maybe Nicki Minaj.
Yeah.
But I think maybe like
she did it together.
she's like together.
Collab. Okay.
But I'm so fucking old. Who knows? But Jesus, I don't know. The first two episodes, I still had like some promise, and now I'm thinking like, is this going the Hawkeye Miss Marvel route? This one really put me in the downer. Like, I don't know. This was maybe like a 2 out of 10 for me.
I don't remember what I rated the John Cena one back in the day, but I think maybe it needs to. Maybe I wasn't.
It looks better compared to this.
It's starting to shape up.
I think we generally liked Peacemaker, didn't we?
Yeah, it was decent. It was definitely better than this.
Yeah, this was rough. God, please rebound. I am scared of what they're going to do with Daredevil, though. Because what do you guys think? I didn't write it down, but there was also many points in this where they like kind of took shots at the media, like.
Yeah, it's just something you don't care about. It's just...
They're like, she's rumored to have been rejected by the Avengers, and like there was a lot of little like media jokes.
There's at some point she went on the news to like tell her side.
Yeah, towards the end, and they had some like the news reporter said something stupid on that one too, and
yeah.
It does seem like they're trying to make a thing about the media, and also like we said, like the YouTube guys that are toxic males.
Toxic masculinity.
Yeah.
I don't know. I kind of like that whole rundown of like those YouTube guys because I see those videos on my feed.
I mean, there are people like that, I guess, but
there's so many people who like review bombed it and like hated the show before it even came out.
Yeah, we're at least watching it before we hate it.
It's just there were too many people who just wanted to hate it, and I was surprised that this show like kind of had the foresight to be like, let's call that out before it even happens.
I remember like that same thing happened to that female Ghostbusters movie, like it was review bomb before it ever came out, and so I really was like hoping that would be a good movie to put like the those people in their place, and then I saw it and I was like, fuck, this is Fucking terrible.
Not today.
Yeah.
Evil wins today.
Yeah, evil wins today. I can't defend this.
Some real piece of shit is like total vindication.
My hatred is rewarded. Guys, any final thoughts on She-Hulk before we wrap this episode up?
You know, the theme is consistent with me. I'm optimistic, and I'm looking forward to seeing what they do with it, you know?
Who wants to see me twerk in my underwear?
I heard you fart in your underwear.
Yeah.
We got to get an effects team to change into Megan Thee Stallion.
Body, yada, yada.
I could do the Walter White scene right now.
Well, I am genuinely curious if anybody like really liked this episode, or for that matter didn't. Like, please comment down below. Let us know your thoughts on it, because and maybe we'll even read them here on the show next week. But speaking of comments, please subscribe to the show, both on the YouTube channel and on the podcast service of your choice. Leave us those comments. Leave us positive reviews, thumbs up. Tell your friend, tell your grandpappy, all that good stuff. And then come over to Twitter and start a conversation with us there. Guys, where can people find you on Twitter?
A name for this too, and that's the number 2.
At Unsolicited SUG.
And you can, of course, find me at Zach Jones Live. That's ZachJonesLive. And that is going to do it for all of our shenanigans and poppycock this week. Please, please, please tune in again next week. Bye, guys.
Take care.
Have a good one.